Yeah, hi there. These comments are for 5479, and I am your English language program instructor for TOEFL Level 6. All right, I just read your essay, so you're focusing on what the most important characteristic is. Where does it say here? In your opinion, what's the most important characteristic, for example, honesty, intelligence, and sense of humor, that a person can have to be successful in life? Use specific reasons and examples from your experience to explain your answer. When you write your answer, you're not limited to the examples listed in the question. Okay, so I looked at the essay, read the whole thing. I'm comfortable putting you in the 3 range here, in the lower 3 range. Actually, let me look. I'm looking at the wrong rubric here. Give me a quick second. No, I need this one here. Okay, here we are. So let's see if we can figure out here. So it says, has some problems with sentence formation and word choice that makes your ideas and meaning unclear. Has accurate but limited range of sentence structures and vocabulary. So unfortunately, your organization could be a little better also, but the main thing here is your language use, your vocabulary, and your grammar problems. This is where you want to focus a lot of your study in my class. Okay, so I'm going to put you at about 3.0 out of 5. This puts you at 20 points out of 30. Now, if we take a look at the syllabus, 3.0 out of 5 is going to put you at 76%. That's where I'm going to put you right now. Okay, so now we need to I'm going to go ahead and put this in there. Okay, so the next thing is we need to go through this essay and what kinds of changes do you need to make in your writing in order to improve your grammar and your vocabulary usage. Okay, let's take a look at our first paragraph here. Okay, this is actually the introduction here, right? Okay, let's put it here. And I'm going to make it bigger too here. Okay, so what you want to do is take some notes. I'm going to give you some suggestions. I'll tell you certain things. And it's important because this is grammar that you're not sure about. Okay, so there are many essential characteristics. You have in person. You want to say here, a person can have. You have in their personality. I don't even think that's needed. There are many essential characteristics a person can have in order to have success. And I'm going to get rid of all of those words. Just use this. Okay, so you bring up honesty here. You might say you need to tie this together. One important trait is honesty. So I'm going to say one important trait because trait ties back to characteristics. So you kind of had a difficult transition from the first to the second sentence. You have keeping it fundamental. And I'm going to say avoid the you point of view in academic writing with this type of writing. So keeping it fundamental in a relationship will bring in more good and keep the bad stuff out. Knowing that you can totally, let's just get rid of this. I'm going to just change this to totally. Trusting one another brings a type of freedom and comfort that helps a relationship work in the best way possible. One of the most important characteristics in a person's, I'm going to change the to a. And let's add an apostrophe here. In a person's life is honesty. Should the parents teach it to their children, couples ought to be honest. You have this, you have the comma, you have a question, then you have a statement. This does not work very well. You have it's not whether or not it should be taught, but it's why is it an important characteristic? So this paragraph here needs a little bit better purpose. So one of the most important characteristics in a person's life is honesty. We need to rewrite your thesis a little bit here, especially that first idea. And then the last idea here, finally, using the money by the government to cover the basic needs. And what does that have to do with honesty? I don't get the connection there. So we need to do something here. So here's, I made even more changes. And the key here is I had to change the thesis so that it more directly addresses this writing task. What's the most important characteristic that a person can have to be successful? So have honest people will be trusted more by others. They will have stronger relationships with their loved ones, and they will have more stable, prosperous lives. So let's change this. Not should they teach it. I would just say honesty will help let's see. So here's the topic sentence. So honesty will help people be trusted by their friends, family members, and coworkers. For example, you have I am raising 4 kids I would change this and let's give exactly what their ages are. I'm raising 4 kids who are 2, 4, 6, and 10 years of age. I always teach them how to be honest and not to lie in any situation. Then you might use something like, in fact, I create schedules for them about how I'm going to put how they should behave at home. If any one of them tries, you need a verb here, right? If any one of them tries to lie, you need the preposition to. put I will mark to set it apart. I'd probably use quotations here. I will mark an X behind their name. And if they tell me the truth, I will mark a, you want to say star. Also, the one who gets more stars will receive a gift. Receive a gift at the end of the week. With this way, my kids learn to tell the truth all the time. And if they do not, they'll be punished. And I'm going to add this later on in life as my children maybe put in their dealings with others. That will be trusted. You might say something like, therefore, people or how about this, people maybe put the word therefore in here, cause effect. So I'm just trying to, so we have first, honesty will help people to be trusted by their friends, family members, and coworkers. For example, I'm raising 4 kids who are 2, 4, 6, and 10 years of age. I always teach them how to be honest and not lie in any situation. In fact, I create schedules for them about how they should behave at home. If any one of them tries to lie to me, I will mark an X behind their name. If they tell me the truth, I'll mark a star. Also, the one who gets more stars will receive a gift at the end of the week. With this way, my kids learn to tell the truth. They learn to tell the truth all the time. If they do not, they will be punished. Later on in life, as my children are honest in their dealings with others, they will be trusted. And people who have honesty, therefore, will most likely be able to build successful relationships. All right, let's take a look at your second one here. You have couples ought to be honest in their relationships, which is more of a fact. So we need to turn this into an argument. So the idea here is they'll have stronger relationships with others. So as we can see this, we got to change this topic sentence so it focuses more on an argument and not as much as a fact, and that'll probably create the more appropriate tone in this particular paragraph. Okay, so we'll say second. we'll say this, with their loved ones. So yes, second, honesty is also important to success because it will help people build stronger relationships with their loved ones. And look at what I did here. If you look at this topic sentence and you go back to the question, it says, what's the most important characteristic a person can have to be successful? So I'm trying to restate part of that here. That's why I said honesty is also important to success because it will help people build stronger relationships with their loved ones. And then you can use that sentence that you have. Couples ought to be honest in their relationships. One of the most important keys. Nah, we need to get rid of this. This is not. Let's get to the example. One of my friends here, you want to say whose, not her. So you need an adjective clause connector there. For example, one of my friends whose name is Sarah, and there's no need to say she. So one of my friends whose name is Sarah lives in the United States alone without her husband. Every time she tells her husband the truth about what she is doing, yeah, we need to develop this paragraph a little bit more. Every time she tells her husband the truth about what she is doing, where and with whom, with honesty, the trust will be built between them and their marriage will be successful even though they're not living in the same place. Okay, so we need to develop it a little more. That's the main thing, right? See how this first paragraph has a little more development to it? Okay, let's take a look at the next paragraph. We have second, honesty is also important to success because it will help build stronger relationships with their loved ones. For example, one of my friends whose name is Sarah. So this is what I'm doing. I'm going to develop this idea a little more specifically. You simply said, every time she tells her husband the truth about what she's doing, where and with whom, I changed it to this. Says, for example, one of my friends whose name is Sarah lives in the United States alone without her husband. Last week, she had decided to go to Victoria Gardens Plaza to buy a pair of shoes and a purse. Before she went, during a phone call, let's put a comma here. So before she went, during a phone call in which her husband asked her what her plans were for the week, she was honest. I'll change this to him, and told him that she was going shopping. Telling her husband this gave them both a chance to discuss the budget for the month. In return, her husband told Sarah that he was going to visit his family for a few days, which was why he would not be home. The honest exchange of information from both strengthened their relationship. And then we can finish this. I'm going to get rid of this part, but I like what you said here. So with honesty, the trust will be built between them and their marriage will be successful even though they're not living in the same place. Okay? So that's probably what you can put there. So I developed this idea just a little bit more. This is the final paragraph, so let's see what I did here. So finally, in addition to building trust and stronger relationships, honesty will help people to have more stable, prosperous lives. People who are honest tend to succeed in their jobs. For example, my friend Larry, who works for Stater Brothers grocery chain, always works his full shift without leaving early. In addition, he never lies about how many overtime hours he has worked, and he always pays his fair share of taxes at the end of the year. Due to his honesty at work, he has been promoted at work several times. Moreover, you might want to say, because of his honesty with the government, he has never been audited by the Internal Revenue Service. And probably get rid of this. Now, a manager at Stater Brothers, his co-workers know to never ask him to lie on their behalf. Larry's superiors have confidence in him. Consequently, overall, Larry has a very stable lifestyle, a very stable life economically, and lives a comfortable lifestyle. Okay, then we need our conclusion. Our conclusion just kind of restates the ideas here. In brief, humans cannot live. I'm going to change this to their lives without morals, maybe a comma, especially honesty. Then we have to change this slightly so that it addresses what we did in the body paragraph. In the conclusion, you can say this. So in brief, humans cannot live their lives without morals, especially honesty. Honesty builds trust in others. It helps people strengthen their relationships with their significant others, and it will help build them to live successful and financially stable lives. I'm going to put the comma in there so I don't have to worry about putting in the and. So what you wrote got 3.0 out of 5, 20 points out of 30. And then the edited version of what you see here, this will score 5.0 out of 5, or 30 points out of 30, right? Okay, now let's read it one more time. So there are many essential characteristics a person can have in order to have success. One important trait is honesty, which is a way of life, not just a behavior. Keeping it fundamental in a relationship will bring in more good and keep the bad stuff out. Totally trusting one another brings a type of freedom and comfort that helps a relationship work in the best way possible. One of the most important characteristics in a person's life is honesty. Honest people will be trusted more by others, they will have stronger relationships with their loved ones, and they will have more stable, prosperous lives. First, honesty will help people to be trusted by their friends, family members, and coworkers. For example, I am raising 4 kids who are 2, 4, 6, and 10 years of age. I always teach them how to be honest and not lie in any situation. In fact, I create schedules for them about how they should behave at home. If any one of them tries to lie to me, I will mark, change this to A, I will mark, yeah, that's right, because I'll mark an X behind their name. Yeah, I'm going to change this to his or her name, because anyone. Oh, no, wait a minute. And if they tell me the truth, I'll mark a star. Also, the one who gets more stars will receive a gift at the end of the week. With this way, my kids learn to tell the truth all the time. And if they do not, they will be punished. Later on in life, And I put this in here to help connect it back to the purpose of the task. As my children are honest in their dealings with others, they will be trusted. And people who have honesty, therefore, will most likely be able to build successful relationships. Maybe here, what if we put successful, trustworthy? So people who have honesty, therefore, will be able to build successful, trustworthy relationships. I use the word trustworthy because it goes back to this key point in the topic sentence. Okay, second, honesty is also important to success because it will help people build stronger relationships with their loved ones. For example, one of my friends, whose name is Sarah, lives in the United States alone without her husband. Last week, she had decided to go to Victoria Gardens Plaza to buy a pair of shoes and a purse. Before she went, during a phone call in which her husband asked her what her plans were for the week, she was honest and told him that she was going shopping. Telling her husband this gave them both a chance to discuss the budget for the month. In return, her husband told Sarah he was going to visit his family for a few days, which is why he would not be home. The honest exchange of information from both strengthened their relationship. With honesty, the trust will be built between them and their marriage. Maybe put a comma here. The trust will be built between them and their marriage will be successful even though they're not living in the same place. Finally, in addition to building trust and stronger relationships, honesty will help people to have more stable, prosperous lives. People who are honest tend to succeed in their jobs. For example, my friend Larry, who works for Stater Brothers grocery chain, always works his full shift without leaving early. In addition, he never lies about how many overtime hours he has worked, and he always pays his fair share of taxes at the end of the year. Due to his honesty at work, he has been promoted. I don't need to say this. He's been promoted several times. Moreover, because of his honesty with the government, he has never been audited by the Internal Revenue Service. Now a manager at Stater Brothers, his co-workers know to never ask him to lie on their behalf. Larry's superiors have confidence in him, consequently. Overall, Larry has a very stable life economically and lives a comfortable lifestyle. In brief, humans cannot live their lives without morals, especially honesty. Honesty builds trust in others. It helps people strengthen their relationships with their significant others, and it will help them to live successful, financially stable lives. And there it is. So the big issue really with your writing with this one is a lot of it did not directly address the writing task. So on Friday, when you're doing the midterm writing in your writing class and for a whole program generally, you want to make sure that you're exactly addressing the writing task. And it should be obvious that you do this in the thesis and in the topic sentences of the body paragraphs and in the examples you're using to support each of those points. Okay, so the question is, what are some things that you can do in my online TOEFL course to strengthen your writing? Okay, so first, vocabulary. Let's take a look at that. I think you can actually improve your vocabulary. And remember that you'll have a good 4 weeks coming up here after our class. So you might want to do some of these things during the break also, in addition to now. I know you're a very, very busy person. But I'm just telling you what you need to do, right? Whether you do it or not, your business. But if you want to get better with your writing, you really need to learn the vocabulary words in vocabulary lesson 4, vocabulary lesson 5, vocabulary lesson number 6. That gives you about 1,500 vocabulary words. That will greatly expand your ability to communicate in English, both in speaking and in writing. It usually takes about 2 to 3 months to learn that many words, but it's possible. It can be done. Okay, let's go to the grammar section of the course. Let's see what we have. I think sentences with adjective clauses, lesson number 6, lesson 6.1. I think lesson number 7, sentences with noun clauses, I think you can work on a little bit more. I think word choice, lesson number 13, lesson 14, parallel structure. I think that's a good lesson for you right now. Lesson 20, articles, and the. Lesson 21, prepositions. That's a good lesson for you. Let's keep going here. Maybe lesson number 26. I'd like to have you take a look at that. Give me a quick second. Yeah, come on, I'll do that with you. So I would definitely take a look at the sentence variety lesson there. Also lesson 27, being more concise. That's something you can take a look at also. So let's go to the writing part of the course here and let's see what we have. The problem with the writing is you simply did not have some unified paragraphs that explicitly state the purpose of the essay, of the actual writing prompt. So let's take a look here. How about lesson 1? That's a good one. Writing lesson number 1. Also, lesson 4, creating sharply focused thesis statements. Check that one out. Lesson 5.1, writing effective topic sentences. Again, 5.2, one simple trick to improve topic sentences. Check that one out. And maybe lesson number 8 there. So those are specific lessons that you can review to help strengthen your writing at this point. I think if you can master some of these concepts and remember the feedback I gave you in the video, I think you can write a more coherent, a more unified essay. All right, thank you.